Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 4/29/25. We're here with Audrey today, Audrey Walters today from Star Netlink on YouTube. And this is going to be a very, very interesting episode today. But before we get to any of that, I do have to say I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We pray for benevolence now to come in and join us with no conflicting agenda so that we may have this conversation in a way that is peaceful and understanding to those that are listening. We ask for malevolent or mischievous beings now to be swept away again so that this conversation can be had in peace. And with that, and with very great blessings that we always send your way, we do say so be it.
And so be it. Go ahead.
No, so we've spoken to Audrey before. We were lucky enough, to have known each other. I think you as well, Audrey, are going to be speaking again at the conference, the 2025 Disclosure Conference this year. Are you going to be speaking and presenting?
No, because I am trying to get my book published hopefully before the conference starts. And so if I get my book published in time, he would help promote my book at the conference. So I'm still in the process of editing my book. I did a couple of rewrites. I'm on like chapter 4 right now, writing it.
Okay.
Um, it's already at like 200 pages right now. My goal was to get it to 300 and get it ready for publishing, but due to the fact that I have spirits and ghosts and galactics that come to me and be like, you need to put this in your book and give me ideas because they hear my spirit guys because I talk to myself when I edit my book and they're like, you have to put this in your book. You have to talk about this in your book. And so
I've had the
so
same.
I've just been slowly adding more and more sections and stuff. And so one of the things is that I'm adding diagrams. I am also going to be making a glossary towards the end of my book of all the like different terminologies that I have learned throughout my lifetime about different stuff. And essentially, it's basically a guidebook for people who are new to this community. And it's a more constructive look into galactic politics because when I was in the Starseed community, and especially now that I'm seeing it, everybody talks about the Galactic Federation, but they don't actually talk about the true name, the entire inner involvement or the inner workings of it and the different courts. And like no one's explaining like why certain ETs don't want to come and visit us and what that is all about, and also how it also correlates to the SSP programs. And I do remember growing up and I had really, really good positive interactions with ETs. And then slowly, when I started getting into my teenage years, I do state that I was hijacked by the SSP. And then I had my galactic family come and rescue me. And it started a chain ball, I guess, effect of me trying to figure out more about my galactic origins. I've been hearing a lot of many different things about my galactic origins. And so I also do want to go to the 2025 Disclosure Now conference to hopefully get like a proper QHHT session there to get more deeper depth into more about myself in a sense. And even I dealt with everything like handler to love bite, and I basically talk about every single subject matter on my YouTube channel and like break it down into different concepts for people and stuff. One of the things is that I usually don't like go into like full body channeling and like channel entities and stuff. A lot of it is like I was trained to develop telepathy when I was really young. And a lot of, I guess you're gonna say, the hybrids and the grays really taught me how to develop my telepathy. And so this mostly aids a lot of my communication and how I perceive information because they can communicate with me telepathically. I start to like recognize when they want to like talk with me and stuff. So I have telepathic communication and how they like give me information and be like, you need to talk about this because no one's talking about this. And essentially I started realizing like when I first started my YouTube channel, it was like subtle nudges. It's like you gotta like this really deep feeling like you have to talk about it because no one else is talking about it. And so that's the reason why I started my YouTube channel is to basically break down subject matter because a lot of people um really don't talk about a whole lot what I talk about. And then I have a Substack account which is mini it's like my little mini podcast series of topics that I can't talk about or put in a regular video or I can't talk about YouTube because of censorship and stuff. So I created that little podcast to basically just like talk about stuff and then also sort of like acts as my little website because I also have my services for people that want to book some services. A lot of people that usually book sessions with me usually just want someone to talk to about their experiences and stuff. And so by understanding that, it just makes me realize that there isn't a whole lot of support groups out there for those type of videos. So I always try to offer resources for people who want more resources or more in-depth knowledge about stuff. And I just realized that a lot of people don't talk in depth about stuff that I talk about. And I also um, slowly now starting turning into like a spiritual research channel because I don't know all the answers, but I do talk about it and offer guidance. And then slowly over time, I've been noticing that my spirit team, as I call it, brings me people to my YouTube channel that can confirm a lot of the information I do talk about on my YouTube channel. So it's kind of nice. It's interesting, and most of the information that I do talk about is extremely important because a lot of us here, like the general public here, is like, we want to go and colonize Mars and go to Mars and be a spacefarer. But they aren't talking about the intricate details of what that involves and also how it also connects with the SSP programs that I've been a part of. And it goes into a lot more deeper in depth. And have interviewed some very interesting people that have very interesting um, conversations. One of the things that really started to become really popular on my YouTube channel is the hybridization program, which I've been doing an actual research project on. When you first start hearing about the hybridization program, you always hear about how dark it is, how evil it is, but um it's sort of like I'm starting to realize that within the spiritual star seed or the SSP community, there's always like it's always negative. It's always like this negative spin on stuff like they're trying to take over, they're being evil, they're being nefarious, and it's like um if they really were that mean to the point that they really didn't want us talking about this, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. And that's one thing a lot of people don't really like understand. And it was like, if they really, really wanted to be that evil to the point of taking over our planet, we would not be sitting here discussing that right now. And people don't really understand that. Like, they do have the capacity to do that, but it's like, what's the point? Like, they don't need to.
There are a couple races though that have done it over the centuries. There's certain ones that, yeah, some of them are being kept in check now, but it's they do it like the reptilians, and you have the Orion derivatives and things like that.
Yeah, they like mostly keep them in check, but it's more like it's more like in the basic construct of like they're not gonna like show up in big giant motherships over the White House and be like, "Hey, first contact." And I was like, do you know how many people will think that it's an invasion of demons coming back or like the apocalypse?
Mhm.
And so a lot of people don't really like understand that. And I usually don't talk about politics or religion, but I usually just recommend other people that do want to have that philosophy concept with UFOs. I always recommend them to other channels that do a lot better job than me.
Well, I
But
agree. And you had had us read some of your writings. And the one thing that I appreciated about it is that your talking about this was about talking about the experience that you went through and the experiences that you had, and just presenting the information that was presented to you. So you were just trying to, and continue to try to have a conversation of what is out there, what you know of, what is being said, what is the logic that you were given behind things. But from what I have seen is that the one thing that I can appreciate, because I wish news would do that here more, is it's just presenting the information. It's not really trying to spin an experience, explain an experience. It's more of just that down middle of the road. Let me just share with you what's happened. Let me share with you what's being said. Let me share with you things like this. And that's what I can really appreciate, as well as, which we agree with you, I think many people still are in the mind process that it's the wild, wild west out there because nothing out there actually already exists. It's very difficult for people to wrap their mind around that these organizations and their court systems and different things like that existed before we were here on this earth. And so these infrastructures out there are real. It's just that we don't have the knowledge of them. So I do appreciate the fact, in a way, that you're trying to do it in kind of a neutral way, in a sense, to just present the information to give people more to think about what is out there. People can come to their own conclusion, whether they feel their experiences represented something good or represented something not good. It's probably a mix of absolutely everything that, it's all out there. If it's here, I guarantee you it's out there. It's the one thing we're being told. And so people just need to more be given just the information of, this is my experiences. This is what I'm being told. I'm not trying to spin it one way or another. This is just it. But we can talk about it. And if you've had an experience like that, or you want to talk about something, it's okay now to talk about it. Because that's the one thing I can say for us, and a really specific, it will stay in my mind forever, experience we had years ago when we were doing a talk somewhere, and there was a gentleman. He would have been a younger to middle-aged man in the 50s. And he had a lot of the gifts that Chris has and that, you have. And he has had those gifts. But during that time, the conversations could not be had. People were silenced completely. So to say now that, and he came to he just happened to come, and it was his guides that pushed him to come to hear us talk. He wasn't going to come. And there was a moment where Chris was supposed to channel. And Chris had been telling me, I cannot channel in this environment. I cannot channel in this. And Chris finally said, I'm really sorry. I wish I could explain what's going on, but this is not a safe environment for me to actually do any sort of channeling in. And so we just continued having a conversation till it was over. Well, that gentleman came up at the end and basically wanted to say that I would have thought you were a fraud until you said you couldn't channel because you knew, because he's like, no, you can't channel in this kind of crazy, you just literally, it's not safe for you to open up now, this, that, and the other. And he said, I would have thought you were a fraud.
It was too dense.
It was way too dense. And so the gentleman made a point of saying, I didn't want to come here, and explained his story. And he said, but what my guides were trying to let me know now is a different time. People can talk about things now that they weren't allowed to talk about when I was younger, and I had to be silent so that I wasn't, killed, basically, because they wanted to encourage him that with the remainder of his life, don't be afraid now to have conversations of things that you were, seen, experienced, were involved in. It's now a different time and it will be better. And he has since passed, but I think it was, it was an amazing moment, obviously, for me. You know what I mean? To really understand, because, I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm like, thank God we can talk about it, right? Even if some people tune it out or whatever, that there can be conversation about these things now in a way that's a little bit more freer. And I believe he did go on and have meetings and had conversations before he passed, but it's a totally different time now than it was in the 50s for persons like ourselves and for other people to come up and talk about these things. But I appreciate the way that you do it. I really do appreciate the way that you do it, because, you can let other people decide, you know what I mean, on what they think, or what, if they think there's an underlying agenda or thinking anything like that. You're just trying to give out the experience and the information. And it's not too many people do it in a neutral way like you do. So I just have to mention that I really appreciate what you're trying to do. And I, really, and they're supporting you to get the rest of your book out and to start having these conversations. And I love hearing the fact that other people are coming to you wanting to share theirs. It's wonderful.
Yeah, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was really, really afraid of all like the negativity and the negative comments and people saying that I'm like a fraud and stuff. And I really started to realize that people are just really, really, I guess, hungry for the truth. They want to hear this information. They want to know about this. It might not be in the way that they expect or want to hear, or not what they want to hear about it, I guess. But I just present the information like what is given to me and what has been told or what has been taught to me. And it's essentially really interesting because I'm starting to see how important it is and how we can take some good concepts that these ETs or visitors bring to us and see how we can incorporate it into our lives and our society to make things a little bit better here. And that's essentially what ETs have been doing, is just feeding us information, feeding us different types of concepts to see like what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and how we can incorporate the stuff that does work for us into our culture, into our society to fundamentally change things for the better. And that's essentially just like what they want. Like they know that they can't really fully influence us as a culture, but they can have people that are like us that can bring this information in a way that we can understand it. And one of the things I've been trying to tell people is just because we know that they exist, because they know that we exist, there's also a thing known as culture barriers that they don't understand. There's a lot of different aspects of our culture that some ETs don't understand or know about. So they need culture interpreters like us, or people who understand how to communicate with not only humans, but also with other entities and other beings to like tell them like this is what this is used for, this is what this is used for, and essentially just try to guide them into like understanding like we have information, but we really don't know how to bring it into an understanding that you guys can understand. And so we're talking about higher dimensional beings that don't really have a physical body. And so they don't understand how to incorporate their knowledge as a non-corporeal being to a planet like ours that has a physical setting, like we're a physical 3D physical object. And so they have to like change their fundamental construct of their information in order to help us understand who they are as a race and stuff. So that's essentially what I do. Essentially right now they just want me to talk about politics. I really haven't really dived into the different ET races that I have visited. They're mostly like they're like, don't worry about the ET races, don't worry about that. We just want you to get the more bulk or more important information out first before we start sharing you about different ETs and what their agendas are and what they've been doing in helping the planet or helping Earth in the sense essentially. And it's been very interesting because while I'm working on my book, I have spirits or I have visitors that come visit me and I had a being yesterday. It's actually Tuesday today, but I had a being Sunday, Monday come to me because they knew that I was writing my book and they're like, we were debating whether or not to give you this information, but we think that it's important for you to have this information and to be put in your book. So they gave me an entire new section to write about for my book. And it's like, yeah, we don't really like tell people this information, but we started to like understand how that is important. And so they gave me the information, presented it to me, and I wrote it in my book. And as time goes on, they just like come to me and I'm like they listen to me edit and write my book and they just like and it's like maybe you should take this part out and add this part in and rearrange stuff for my book. And I've been getting good guides of like how they help me like format or organize my book, which is kind of nice. So, the only thing is they have a more advanced vocabulary than I do.
Mhm.
And and I have I guess I'm gonna say I have dyslexia. So when they give me a word or their advanced vocabulary, I'm also learning how to expand my vocab skill.
Yeah, like I picked up all the curse words first, and like mostly the reptilian curse words at first. So it's like because they figured that was the easiest to throw my way. It's like we'll show you what the F bomb looks like. We'll show you what this looks like. We'll show you what this. It's like okay, that actually works, and I've actually used it a couple of times. People are like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" But I've used them a couple of times, and I know what you're talking about with the book. Anytime I write anything or do Q&A, and we were back doing Q&As with different beings that want to make a statement or something like that, to answer a question. We're doing to giving the multiple voices a voice again this time, and I start doing it. If I let it go, like start at the beginning of the day, it will go on forever because like, excuse me, I have something to add to this. So yeah,
Yeah. What is really, really funny is that I'm starting to see now on TikTok, you know how we use different divination tools like pendulums, um, and cards and stuff. So there's this popular lady on TikTok that I follow, and she uses a coin that has yes or no, and she spins it, and she allows and she answers stupid questions. And it's like, let's ask the spirit some stupid questions.
Yeah, it's funny.
And we're gonna spin the coin to see if they will answer it. And it's actually kind of interesting and funny. And it gains a lot of different responses, but I'm just wondering like what our spirit guides or spirits are like thinking, but I think they think it is a form of entertainment too. And it was like and I was like, because they probably have the same goofy or bizarre questions that they want to ask us as a race, but they're afraid to because they don't know whether or not it offends us. And so this video or this thing, and I was like, well, there has to be someone to break the ice on the internet. And I was like, well, I guess it's gonna start because someone is asking spirits or like spirits around her to basically because what she does is that she answers the question, she spins the coin, and then she asks the question again while the coin is spinning, and then she just lets the pair spirits to guide the coin to a yes or a no and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the, I guess when I say spirits or beings that are probably listening through us are probably like, yeah, we have a lot of those questions that we do want to ask, but we really don't know how to ask them. So it's kind of interesting and it just makes for very interesting conversations because it goes back to this quote that I learned is that ET beings are just like us but sometimes they have better toys.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah, I heard Isaac go, damn right, we got better toys. Okay, so yeah, and you don't get to use them. Kidding, he says. So, but yeah, yeah, you'll find some of them get our jokes perfectly. Other ones are slightly off. It's like say some a foreigner comes over here and they don't get a joke or an idiom quite right, and from another country, they'll flip a word around, or they'll not get the idea quite right, or it might be corny and they think it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. That's exactly what you run into with this. Like they'll sometimes flip a word around, or they'll think something that's really boring is like the greatest thing they've ever heard. So it's like I think it's hilarious actually because then that makes that boring joke actually funny. Or if it's something like really stupid and they're just like erupting with laughter, and like, okay, I guess it's funny now. But
Oh, and it was like someone has to, and I mostly feel like I'm the brave one, because I used to be part of a channeling group back in my earlier days, back when I was like 18, 19. I had a really wonderful and beautiful experience with that. And it was a time when I was working in a nursing home and I was channeling, this guy was channeling and I was working in the nursing home and I was like, can you imagine living for 100 plus years? And it's like how much information or how much knowledge and stuff. And I can sense that the other being is listening to this, and I was like, can you just imagine how much longer these beings live for? And it's like, no wonder how they can get stuff done because they live longer than us. And I was like joking around, and I was like, they probably have the same thing of like, we don't like we understand why because you guys live shorter than this, but you guys do have some very interesting concepts. Um, I used to have a lot of very interesting conversations with the Greys, and a lot of people think that they're robots, but they're not technically robots. But when you start talking to them, they have a lot of personality in them and they're like think that she can't hear us and I was like yes I can hear you and they're like shocked and they're like you have telepathy and I was like yeah I have telepathy um but it's kind of interesting to hear this conversation and they're like telling me stuff and educating me about stuff and I was like Hmm. Telepathy is like a dual-edged sword where you can like eavesdrop a little bit and then they can eavesdrop back and sort of like I started like thinking about telepathy as sort of like a it's sort of like a mind, like having your own personal walkie-talkie where you can like tune it to see like who's on the radio today or
Exactly.
but yeah, but it's just like it's just trying to pull down like the curtain or like pull down the culture barriers. Like ETs probably have a lot of strange and stupid questions that they want to ask us that might seem a little bit offensive, but we also have the same questions that we want to ask them to see how they would respond or answer them as well. So I think it's trying to learn like just have some fun with it, and we can learn a lot and try to get over like our fear because they're trying to understand us and we're trying to understand them, and they probably create stereotypical ideology about us as a race, and and we did the same thing to them, but it's sort of like how can we get rid of those type of ideologies sort of to like really understand us as a culture and stuff. Um and what is really, really interesting is that I used to have some very interesting conversations with, I guess you're gonna say the draconians, or like I call them baby dragons because I really haven't like seen the adults, but I've been around some of their children. And so what they did is that they put me in a little hatchery with the little babies, and I have a lot of very interesting conversations with the children. And you have to understand that you're talking to children, like little baby dinosaurs, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna see what works and what doesn't work. And I'm actually kind of surprised that um when you're dealing with ETs, like they're actually afraid of us sometimes more than we are afraid of them. And it's because some of the things that happen on our planet can actually start a social revolution across their entire planet or species. And I'm starting to see this with my friend David, who is from the SSP, where he's actually trying to teach Draconians, especially the Draconian Queen, about human music because she's never heard human music before. And he has to be very careful about which specific music to give her because they don't know how she's going to react or how it will affect them. So he's just like showing them human music, and they're like, "Yeah, go and show your sisters or go and show your people about human music and see if you guys can create your own music that you guys like and stuff." And so it's kind of interesting to say the least. There's many different things that ETs like from our culture that they wish that they could be a part of, like especially some of the hybrids that I talked to, especially with Arkeem Raw, where he was talking about how some of the hybrids love watching our sports. They would love to come down and go into like a sports bar with the rest of the humans and just watch um television just like us while we're in a bar and just enjoying the social life of drinking beer, eating wings, and enjoying our culture while watching watching American sports or like European sports and stuff. So yeah, people need to like understand that there's some things about our society that other ETs like, but they can't participate in because they know that if they did, we would be afraid of them or scared and stuff. So they just try to see how they can incorporate or try to redo it in their own type of society and culture. And I kind of like how cartoons over the years, like Rick and Morty and a couple of the TV shows, like to incorporate that into their TV shows. And I'm like, so it's sort of like giving the public like soft disclosure about stuff over time, but
Oh
a
yeah, I
lot.
encountered that recently. I always use this as an example. There's a Mountain Dew commercial that popped on not that long ago. Showed all these aliens just sitting around with people just drinking Mountain Dew and everything. I'm like, okay, that is actually an ad for having, aliens around saying, "Oh, we're your bros, just like you," kind of thing, And I see it every now and again when we have the TV on during the day or something. I'll see that commercial pop up.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of interesting. And like I had some thoughts because I'm like a culture interpreter. I like exploring different stuff. And I'm just like I asked some of them and it's like, do you guys like understand a lot about what humans write about you guys? Like, yeah, you guys might like have like the surface level information of stuff that they get from online, but it's like, well, I have some deeper level information about what people talk about you or like write about you guys in their fantasies. And I was like, I'm just like curious to like see like Um, I'm gonna, and I was like trying to like, I don't know how much I can give to them without like, but it's like, I'm just gonna leave this book here and have you guys read it. And it'll be like interesting to see or get some feedback about it and see like what you guys think about it. And I thought it would be kind of like interesting and hilarious because I'm pretty sure that they have the same type of literature from their culture that they want us to read.
Right.
Exactly, and I found out they have some of our artwork and some of our like clothes and some of our artifacts and some of our things like that. They made a good example in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds where it was an episode called Tomorrow and Tomorrow Tomorrow where it's set right now, and you see an alien basically running an antique shop in that. So it's like okay, you got it right, and some of them will actually be in houses next to people. They'll be working shops. They'll be working businesses. I've actually run into quite a few, and I know when they're around because the sonic signature is vastly different, and sometimes they'll actually just talk telepathically through somebody else to actually speak, like what I do with channeling. Or you may every now and again you'll run into one of them in
Yeah,
public.
I started noticing that when I go around in public and when I'm in an area or somewhere, they sort of like use people to ask questions for them to get more information about me. And I mostly feel like I'm like a reader because I can be like there like, something's not right. Like, and I was like, what is different? And they're like, you can sense us, you can see us, and it's like some of them are like kind of shocked, but they're like also like, yes, it's getting better. And you'll be kind of like surprised because there was a TV show that I was watching where a lady inherited a mansion and she has a bunch of ghosts. And a lot of people don't really like realize how much ghosts are like gossipers or like they love to gossip about stuff or like share. And I was like, I don't really think that a whole lot of people like understand like ghosts, and they're like, yeah, I got some really good juicy information about some drama that happened 200 years.
That's funny. Yeah, I've run into that too. Some ghosts I've run into over the past couple of years have been kind of obnoxious, actually. But like they'll just hang out and either haunt or demand to be heard by throwing stuff, breaking things. I've run into that numerous times the past few years. I've only run into a few kind ghosts in the past, maybe a couple of years. The rest of them have been kind of assholes. So it's like. So I try to keep ghosts out of our place because they won't quit doing that. But I end up having to take them across the other side. But I've run across a couple of kind ones, a couple of really stupid ones they'll come into our living room and they'll look around and go, "I must be dead." No, I don't think you are. No, you walked through the wall. Stuff like that. No, I don't think you are. I think, did you come to the door? No. Was it a wall? Yes, then you're dead. So I've done, I do that with them and they get mad at me. But I've done crap like that too. But yeah, I've run into the past year alone. It's like there's been this reboot where I've been reintroduced to several species again, like I was in the past. And I
Yeah.
started to get more and more back in that. We try to keep our circle tight, but all along I've actually been encountering, people think they're just Pleiadian groups, but they're broken up into the different race names and everything. I've been running into like Isaac, for instance. His actual race would be, we would consider them like elves, but it's they he's from a world called Lanulos. He's half human, half tall white, and then Elaine and Vesa, they're half human, half tall white as well, and they have the typical, one piece, uniform, black, purple, blue, white. You see those all over the place, like typical Galactic Federation-esque.
Yeah, like and I was like when I was still living with my parents, I got this there was a crystal shop that opened up in the main mall. And all of a sudden I was like coming home from work one day and they're like, you got to go to the mall. And I had my spirit guides that are like, you got to go to the mall. You got to go to the mall. And I was like, why do you want me to go to the mall? And they're like, there's crystals that are calling you. And so I go to the crystal shop and sure enough there's like certain crystals that are like calling out to you because they remember you from like a past life. They're like, buy me, get me, bring me home. And I was like, I really wish that I could bring you home with me, but you cost $200.
Yeah, or like a giant like skull or a giant crystal that costs like $3,000 or something like that. So it's like one of those really huge ones. Yeah. Oh, I've had that happen all over the place. Isaac, in particular, the first time I ran into him was at a flea market, and he's like, "Hey, what?" He goes, "I'm in the back of the room using a stone skull in the back of the room. Come find me." I'm like, "Okay." Went back there, and it's literally the only one on a shelf, and he goes, "Okay, this is what I want you to do. Go up to the guy selling these and say, the skull over there doesn't like the fact you put him in a box." I'm like, "Okay, fine." Then I went and did it. The guy was so creeped out, he lowered the price so that I could actually buy it. And he goes, "See, creeping him out works. You actually got a cheaper price." So it's like, and so that was one of my
Yeah,
first.
like I remember when I was a little kid. And I would have to say that I was like probably like 3, maybe 5, 7 years old. And this is like during the early days that were taking me. And I just thought that they were like my best friends in the best world teaching me all this stuff. And I do remember having this conversation where I was actually asking like a tall gray if I could take one of their workers to school with me. And I was like explaining like everything. Like I'm gonna bring them to show and tell. I'm going to dress them up in clothing that I got from my dad. And then they're like, you can try, but that's not gonna work. And essentially.
That's fine. I heard Isaac say you can't put lipstick on a pig. But so that no, okay, that's a funny. Okay, but yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of like funny because it's just like I just wish that people weren't so afraid because we could have some very interesting stuff, and I do know it'll be kind of like funny. And it was like it's sort of like, well, we have a book called Interview with a Vampire, and it's like we could have an interview with an actual alien.
Mm.
Right.
And just like, and it was like, we're gonna just give you this entire box of stuff from our culture that you probably have never seen or witnessed, and it'd be like good to like get your opinion. And and it was kind of like interesting, and and I was like asking them, and it's like, do you guys like know, or like I was asking the Grace, and I was like, do you guys know that out in the middle of the desert, like someone made like a theme shop, a town that's like themed after you guys? And I was like, do you guys like know about that? And they're like, yeah, we know about that. And it's like, do you guys know that there's like like a 10-foot tall statue of you guys, like metal statue of someone guy created out in the middle of the desert, like in honor of you? Or and it's like we are like, you don't realize, and I was like, it's sort of like a like tourist trap for you.
Salem actually is kind of that way too, where on Halloween there's actual galactics that go roaming around. You don't even know it because it's Halloween. So we ran into that when we were up there. There was multiple galactic types that were up there that were actually showing themselves as they actually look, but people thought it was costumes. So I thought that was actually quite interesting. You saw one that was out there, like he looked like a goat person, and he was actually reading the map of Salem that was there. He had a goat, Harry Potter kind of vibe. And she saw a blue person in Raleigh when we were out there too, where he was just sitting like drinking a cup of coffee or something.
He was fixing a cup of
He was
coffee,
fixing a
then
cup
he
of coffee,
realized that I could see him. I
and
could see him, not how other people were seeing him, but I could, and we just kind of stared at each other for a minute, and he went, just got out of that coffee shop, you know what I
he
mean?
just bolted out of there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I
I'm
thought,
pretty much just kind of the watcher. When I see these things, I'm just kind of looking at it, not trying to make a scene or call attention or whatever, just, oh my goodness, kind of thing. And, but he knew that I knew, and he left. Boy, he left quick.
oh yeah, and I know when they're around fairly close to them because their psionic signature is different than everybody around them. They stand out like a sore thumb. So I did have this happened similar thing when they're talking about malls and things like that, and places where sometimes you will run into one or two of them. And in Illinois, it was in a mall in Libertyville, Illinois, and went into a Barnes and Noble looking at the journals that were in this one place, this LeBlanc journals, and all of a sudden I'm hearing telepathic chatter nearby, just going back and forth, and then I heard it was a male and female, and I heard the guy go, "Oh shit, he can hear us," and I said, "Oh, you're an ET in here," and I look up. And through this little section of window where there was like a big decal on the Barnes and Noble window, on the section that was still open to the mall outside of there, I see this really tall guy just looking at me through the window, all bug-eyed, and he's like this, and I said, "Oh, hi," him and a woman just took off running, and they came back maybe telepathically. He talked to me later on while I was sitting at the Starbucks, and he goes, "I'm really sorry for being rude, but we will get in trouble the fact you could see us." And it's like, I said, "Well, why don't you come in here and just sit and we'll talk?" He goes, "I would love to, but you weren't actually supposed to see through our disguise and or hear us." And I said, "Oh, I said, you realize there are others that can hear telepathically." He goes, "We knew, but we did not think it would be in this spot." So he figured Libertyville, Illinois, he was pretty safe of not running into a telepath.
Yeah,
But
I remember an experience that I had. I was in middle school and we had our middle school trip where they take all the kids that wanted to go to Washington, D.C. And I remember that there was a gift shop and so like there's like the subway and then there's like a whole bunch of underground shops and stuff where we were like buying souvenirs and stuff. And I distinctly remember that there was this class, and what was really odd about it is that they all had like white hair. Like all the children had white hair. Like they were like identical to each other, and there wasn't the adult. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a prep school that it's around here." And I was like, "Hmm, they don't look like children that I normally play with." But I was like, and so we were all in the gift shop, and I was like, And I was like talking to the other girl, and I was like asking her like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from this school, I'm from like this state, and we can like, and then I remember the adult like trying to like take her out of the store because I was starting to like recognize her, like she wasn't actually human, like she was an hybrid and stuff. And I was like, oh, where did she go? And it's like we were talking, and then it's like, and I started realizing that we weren't talking verbally, we were talking back and forth in our head.
Mhm. And I've run into that too, where yeah, you're telepathic and you're thinking you're talking to them, yeah. And then if there's other ETs around, they're going, oh, wait a minute, we can't do this right now, yeah. So I've run into that here, not so much. I mean, there's been a few recently, like I could feel some telepathic or psionic energies very recently. Then the forest people came to me and said, yeah, the three you discovered here in town, they're telling you leave them alone right now. They'll get back to you. It's like because I could sense them as we were driving around. I'm like, over because I was gonna go looking, and they're like,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
don't.
like and I'm like I'm at this state right now that if I do see something, and I was like, let's see how much information I can get out of them. It's like, who are you? Where are you from? What you doing? What's your culture like? And just like take like a little notebook or like I think there was a radio station where a guy would like was like, yeah, I was gonna set up a landing station in my backyard, a little like guidebook of stuff, and give them a little bit of a little envelope of like human money, and see if they will come back and write about their experience or journals about human life and ask questions and stuff. And so it was like it'd be kind of like interesting to like set up a little station. And I was like, "Are you an alien?" Out on the data, like,
Yeah, chances are, yeah, they're either talking to him or he is one. So that's usually the case. So, oh
and
yeah,
just
I've run
like
into
and just leave like and you know how you go to the mall and they're like, "Do you want to win a car? Write your name," and it'll like, and then there's like a little stand that says, "Are you an alien? Write about your experiences," and then
That's funny. That's hilarious. It's been a while since I've actually had another, separate visitation from the beings we usually associate with. It's been quite a few years actually. And very recently had something, where, my eye was damaged during a bout with shingles not that long ago, and I was getting rather upset about that. And it's like, I was sitting on the couch and I was getting kind of mad. I'm like, okay, there's beings out there that have the tech to actually cure me of this. How about somebody do something, And all of a sudden, I just hear this hum over the house. I hear the typical hum from a spaceship. And I'm like, okay, I haven't heard you in a while. And so I go to bed. Halfway through the night, I hear two beings yakking with each other out in the yard. One is debating on whether to help me, and the other was debating on, well, we have to teach him self-reliance, so he has to fix this on his own. No, he is actually suffering from this, so why don't we actually just fix it? So the two were going back and forth forever, and I didn't get to look at what they looked like. But on one was the commanding officer, one was the subordinate, and it was the subordinate that was taking my side in the whole thing. And I said, okay, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, actually. But and then when I woke up, I get going towards the garage, and I see someone transparent, sitting in her office chair on the other end of the house. And basically, it was the other guy that I said, I want to talk to you. It was that ended up being that guy. And I couldn't clearly see him. He was slightly camouflaging his look, but I didn't feel threatened by him. I actually was fairly kind, and he said I'd be seeing more of him at some point. He just said, just call me Steven, and that's it. But it's been a while since I've conversed with ones that are outside of my circle usually, but I didn't feel threatened by him. I didn't really, there wasn't anything wrong. He was actually very, very kind. And he goes, yeah, my boss is kind of an ass. It's fine. You're good. You know, he was like that. So he's totally in the self-reliance thing. I'm more like, okay, he's actually had enough of this crap. I'm gonna help him kind of thing. So it's like so I got the guy that I was pointing at. So and I thought that
But it
was
is
cool.
true. I think, we would agree with you from our experiences that you have what you have here on Earth with the different personalities, with the different, you have that out there too, with not total agreements with, you know what I mean? With all of that exists out there. It's just more. I think what's hard right now for humanity is to understand how much more it is and that it existed before the earth was colonized and things like that. It's like there's a lot for people to get used to, and it will really change foundational belief systems, which is very, very difficult to do. So I like the one thing Isaac always wants to do, which you're doing right now, Audrey, is the humor side. Humorous, bring in some sort of lighthearted humorous, because that actually raises frequency anyway. The lightheartedness about it and the laughter about it is a good thing to, that can be done. So it's a lot because as much as we look at humanity with its good sides and its bad sides and all in between, it's exactly the same, out there when we get introduced to it. It's not just all, angelic, and it's not all bad. It really is everything in between. And that's our understanding, even with, as we were talking about what people refer to as the Galactic Federation and the member worlds and whatever. It's all like that. It's all like that. And so the interesting thing, I think, for us in humanity, because it's common, is what is our relationship going to be? So I think anything that can be done as your experiences, to talk about what's been visiting, what has been said, things for people to go ahead and go ahead and ponder, to get even more of it later on as to what's out there so we can decide what is our relationship to it going to be, basically. So I do appreciate, what you're trying to bring forward and the way you're doing it. Like I've already said that, but I really do appreciate it because it truly is non-threatening what you're trying to do. It's just bringing forth the information as to this has been my life experience. This is who I am. It's actually my personality style is what they were looking for because they don't feel threatened. No one feels threatened, but this is what's going on and this is my experience. So it really is a good thing. And there's so much as you have with your book to talk about where there could be books and books and books about what's going on out there. So it's really something. But I don't know if you want do you want any galactic contribution?
Oh yeah, that we could do it for a little bit. Yeah, there's so many different races. My friend Richie and we run into different races periodically, and I noticed the whole like United Nations was showing up. I noticed one looks like a fox. I know that race is called Ricarson. They're somewhere out in the Horsehead Nebula area. There's a couple gray types I've noticed. One is Eben, one is Emerther, one is I have no idea what
You
that one
even
is.
saw a race that looked very similar to the Grinch movie.
Yeah.
Yesterday I saw a being with like white hair wearing white robes that were like, we're just gonna drop this information off for your book. And and then while I was at work, I saw a blue bean and it looked like hair, but it didn't look like hair. But it looked like he had like a starfish on top of his head.
hmm
Thought it was kind of interesting, and I was like, and then I also do sense like Lyran or like cat beans that look very similar to Lyrans and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. I just enjoy it. like I'm trying to it's sort of like how do you want to say? It's like you get spooked and then you're shocked and then you're like overjoyed and then you're like, "Oh my goodness, I have so many questions." And then you're like super super excited and hyper and you just like want to like talk and chat and have a good time with them. And it's like it usually goes like in stages like first you're like completely shocked or spooked and then they're like super excited, overjoyed, and they're like hyper, and it's like I got so many questions I want to ask,
Mm.
and um, and so it's just kind of like interesting because you're like stumbled on like the holy grail or like the holy like oh, there's so much. It's so interesting to just like learn and explore and just have like a really really good time and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I was trying to see who was actually going to talk. Figured Isaac was going to, but I don't think he's doing that this time. So I can hardly see the one that's wanting to channel. He's masking what he looks like from me, but I'm not threatened by his energy. So I believe this is the same person that I was talking about before. So I do see a uniform though. The uniform is of the Galactic Federation medical division, it looks like. So I'm seeing like the medical emblems, or one of their medical divisions. Yes, I know they made more than one. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. If you're truly benevolent with no conflicting agendas, you can enter this room. All right. Okay, yeah, you're fine. All right. All right, we'll just do this real fast. Okay, oh yeah, Crystal. I always have them go through here, and then I do the channel from this. But this using a crystal makes it so I can do it longer. So that's what I'll be using at the conference when I do this. So yes, I've actually done this before, just not with them. Uh, think of me as you have, your ambulance crew, EMT types. Think of us as something of that nature. But we are part of a much larger crew, just like you have your Star Trek and you have the Enterprise, where you have the captain, you have the security person, you have the science officer, you have the chief medical, that kind of thing. Us and our group are medically oriented. Sometimes they'll even choose a species that happens to be very good at a particular task. Otherwise, most of the time they try to keep it mixed. But in our particular instance, they have us be some of the medical EMT-ish types. He mistook our name years ago for Trisonian. It is actually Valodian. In this, my appearance would even spook the two of you. You have never seen what we actually look like. So, even though he's conversed with our race before, they've never actually seen what we physically look like. This is why I've asked my appearance. Before we tried to make ourselves look like a Nordic-esque type race. This just means we were trying to make ourselves look like one of you. But if you saw us, you would kind of see through us. Not necessarily transparent. That's a different race they use for their listening and vocal capabilities in either criminal detection type units or bounty hunting, things of that nature. No, you would see through us because it is a mix of transparentish energy and we do have a set of organs, we have a physicality, but there is a plasma nature to it. This is why we usually communicate via someone's light body. If they have an injury, we realign the codes in a photocopy, push that photocopy of codes back onto them, and then therefore the part is either healed or functioning again. This is how we would have to deal with Earth because of the different treaties and different policies and politics and all of this. But that prevent us from really getting down in the dirt. But we can disguise ourselves fairly well as one of you, just not for very long. If we would lose our disguise in your presence, you would see the sunlight actually go straight through our face, and that would creep people out. But this is why he couldn't discern what we actually looked like, because we don't look like you. We do have 2 arms, 2 legs, and organs laid out similarly and such, but it's the nature of our skin, the nature of the plasma core that we have within us. It would not be very appealing, let's just say, to people. And let's just say they're the closest thing I could actually honestly say that we would actually look like. You saw a Scrooge movie one time where you had a person look like a candle. So you saw this on Christmas, where the animated version with the candle, the Coast of Christmas Past candle. That's kind of how we are, but in a uniform and in a human shape. It's kind of like that. It's more of a plasma, not a will-o'-the-wisp type. That's more of an incorporeal plasmoid type form. Some of them are feral, some of them are nice, some of them are just plain asses because they choose to be. Nobody's judging, but with this, because we've worked on them before. With myself, though, I actually was assigned to this conversation because of the fact that he requested medical assistance with his eye. But I must say, yes, there are some that have gotten our assistance directly. I must say this for the record, there are policies out there when dealing with Earth that we don't always care for, but because we have taken medical oaths the same as some of your doctors, but at the same time, we are also on Earth overlooking some of your medical policy as well, to see what could be changed and what could be improved on, and what we could learn from what humans are coming up with too. There's some diseases and viruses we wish to cure. We do have the medical codes and templates and frequencies to be able to cure these things, or at least stave them off. And we can't always get past some of Earth's defenses and Earth's defense networks, and some of the humans would call it red tape. That's in the way of this. No offense to anyone listening to this. We understand some of the plights that are going on Earth, and will be one of the races that will come rushing in when we are allowed to do so. But in this instance where we try to help people, we have to follow the usual spiel of they come up to our ship and we put them in a frequency block by which then they remember what is within that frequency block. We return them and they don't remember. Your military are the ones famous for using the liquid syringes full of God knows what. So, not that I'm judging. So, I can answer questions.
Audrey, do any come to your mind?
Oh, what's a good question? What's a good question to ask?
Well, I'm curious because you said plasma body, so I'll let you think about it. Because my curiosity is, so even in a plasmoid body, you do have a structure where you do have 2 arms, I'm assuming 2 legs, a head, you're humanoid in a shape.
Mm-hmm.
And and again, well, we were talking earlier about stupid questions. What about like bones, cartilage, things like that?
Yes, technically plasma is a state of matter, last I looked. But we do have a skeleton-ish. It is more made up of, no, Isaac, it is not gas bladders. Thank you. It is made up of, how can I put this? Like almost like ectoplasm, you would consider it. Ectoplasm is more of a dimensional byproduct, but it's more of the poo of the dimensional spaces. But in this, we have a skeleton that's made up of this partial, you would think cartilage, but is partial semi skeletal cartilages, type thing, whereas there is an ectoplasmic skeletal core. Our organs are made up of the same thing. If you saw one of us in our truest form, you would think we were some kind of amusement park decoration of some kind, like a balloon or some kind of water-filled bladder or something. But in fact, we do not have one drop of water within us. You have tons of it. So we can interact with water-based beings. It's like that that animated movie you had where you had the different elements being sentient beings that didn't interact with each other. The water type ones that you saw in that movie, we're very similar to that in look, but the water is essentially plasmoid, ectoplasmic skeleton that you're seeing, but you can see through it. And if again we were taking your form, sunlight would pass straight through our face because your sun refracts through plasmoid skeletal forms like a prism. So we can't exactly keep up the disguise very well.
Oh, oh, okay. My question is what does your, I guess, home planet look like then? If you
Hmm.
are like a plasma being, like, what does your planet look like then?
We've accounted for other beings that are not like us, like Nordics and such. This is again why he saw some Nordics, but we've taken that form to communicate as well. We've set up different hospital structures for different beings that are in those divisions that are require settings like yourselves. But our original home world, if your home planet, if you saw this, it would be green in color and no water anywhere. It is more of a how can I put this? Not a gas giant. It has land, but the trees there look like what's the closest comparison? Kind of like cactus, but they would look almost like balloon shapes. Those are plasmoid forms as well. Think of like if you had a clown make a balloon with like a balloon animal or something. Think of like a cactus that looked like that. And he's seen a clown make a cactus like balloon before when he was in the Southwest. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. It looks like something you would think of out of a cartoonish, but it's not. It has luminescent colors everywhere. There is a fog that rolls in and out, very much like a tide. We do have thunderstorms and electricity and such. And also, we have created environments on the planet that Nordic type species can enjoy. The Even homeworld, they did something similar where they carved out an area for humans at one point. Much to their chagrin, they like dirt for whatever reason, but desert. But with us, we like this. You would see it as a gas, but it is actually more of again a plasma-esque form. Very much like you are made of water. You need to consume water. You like to be in water. We are made up of plasma. We like to have plasma around, and it comes and goes like a tide because it is the fifth state of matter. So, from your perspective, anyway. And there are cities. Our buildings look like, I'm going to describe the buildings, similar to your own, but not made of stone. We can take literally the plasma forms that are around and shape them into, no, not balloon animals, Isaac, no. But this close, actually. You're actually not far off. It would look like, from your perspective, it would have sharp edges, but it would be something that a human could pass through if you pushed hard enough, kind of like a weird balloonish force field. He saw this in a dream sequence once where he was able to tear through a force field like it was like saran wrap or something. That's the word I'm looking for, is more like saran wrap or plastic with a plasmoid skeleton like how we have. We can manipulate the elements that are around us to make these structures, but other species that wish to take up residence for strategic reasons or assignment reasons need their usual environment, gravimetric or gravity forms, the physical objects like humans. If they came here, they would need this. The Nordic species are just like you. They need this as well. I hope this answers.
Yeah, so how do you then come, if you came on Earth, because I guess I'm trying to envision, do you have to wear a safety suit or something because you're not in your normal gaseous type environment?
We cannot breathe your oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. We need a breather you could say that we are put in kind of a fishbowl type of setting. We can actually make it look like we're not in a suit, that we are actually just walking around like one of you. But again, your sun and your Earth's magnetic sphere and energetic core tends to reveal our presence quite easily. And we did not necessarily count on this particular effect that your planet has. You have such a plethora of energies here and beings that come and go, and even the war-shattered Bifrost from ages past has its own luminescence. You have the worlds within worlds, dimensional spaces. We can't compete with that. Our world is not like that. Our planet is not like that, I should say. It's not quite like that. We have dimensional spaces we can occupy, but your Earth tends to take the cake, you would say, when it comes to anomalous energies and energy vortices and portals and such that what you would consider weird beings would come and go from. We have to wear a suit that literally would contain our gases within it, very much like you would have to have a breather underwater in the aquatic environment, or with like your mer people would, if they come on land, they can adapt to the oxygen, nitrogen, and atmosphere as long as there's not too many pollutants in the atmosphere. This is why they bitch the loudest when you have too much garbage around, which, okay, but like you would say, they don't clean it up either. But anyway, we've dealt with them multiple times, the Myrmidon. But with us, the suit you would see us would look like an old timey metal type of suit, like you see in an old sci-fi movie, like Robbie the Robot or something from Forbidden Planet or something, or from Lost in Space or something like that. It's like this weird, like cylindrical casing that is actually quite uncomfortable, but it has to be made of a particular metal and particular frequency resonance and a particular shape that it must take in order to function, kind of like your dilithium crystals in your Star Trek program. It has to be in a particular shape. And it'd be like if you tried to cram yourself inside of a still. It's quite uncomfortable, but in order to walk around and have the disguises, we have to have that. So if you see somebody walking around like they have rickets, that's probably one of us. So with the bow legs, because we don't, it's weird walking around on your planet with the gravity and the energies and everything. So I hope this answers.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we can ask like a fun question.
Hmm.
What I guess you're gonna say like what do you find the most important or most fascinating stuff about our culture as humans? Like what do you find fascinating or what do you like the most about our
Hmm.
culture?
This the most fascinating would have to be a mix between art music, because musical notes and frequencies tend to affect our state of being. Even say if somebody drove by blaring their bass or something on in their car, and if even we had a disguise up, we would look like we were rippling, like the Matrix was malfunctioning or something. Again, this is why we can't walk in populated areas. We would creep people out doing this. Also, I know you like to keep this PG-13, but more sexual type things as well. Not the negative stuff. No. This fascinates us because it's coming not from a, more from a perspective that you were thinking, but more of a curiosity type of thing. We know there's a negative and a positive side to this. We're more interested in the energy frequencies they're in because humans tend to be a mix of different cultures from out in the galaxy, and those particular cultures have a particular resonance frequency for every single thing they do. So Earth underwent a great seeding many millions of years ago, and then subsequently had other races seeding thereafter, even bits of land, things of that nature. This fascinates us because many cultures out there have different ways of procreation, and you have the codes for a lot of them, mostly Nordic types and Lyran types, but you have other ones that are not like yourself, that actually encompass the way your organs look, the way your eyes look, function, the way some of your brain cells work. And it fascinates us how it worked in almost perfect harmony. Some genomes were never completely meant to be together and they clash and create some medical conditions, back issues, things like that. Say you have an Antiquan dog person from Cirrus and you have a cat person or Lyran or even a forest person, Sasquatch person, their skeletal systems might be totally different from one another and they won't completely mesh. So humans have that kind of those issues to look forward to, I suppose. But yes, these are the things that we find interesting because we are one species. We're not a mix like you. Yes, Isaac, humans are a mutt race. I understand. Like your mutt dogs, I get the analogy. Yes, but their pets and life forms also fascinate us as well because we don't have anything like that. We don't have any animals on our planet. We just have the gaseous plasmoid forms. The humans would find it quite dreary. In fact, the Nordics have said this quite loudly. In fact, that they think it's very boring and depressing. We find beauty in this. We find Earth rather loud. Actually, we come there like your Martians in your show, The Expanse, where all the frequencies and sensory perception was off, or like in your Man of Steel, where all the Kryptonians had the sensory overload. We tend to get that when we come to Earth, but we adapt fairly quickly. You have a plasma environments on Earth very similar to our home planet in some of your more bog-like areas, and this is where some of the will-o'-the-wisp type of beings tend to congregate, but they don't like us traipsing into their territory. But that would be the area where we would have to live if we would move to your world or your planet. But I hope this did answer.
Well, yeah, and just to continue for your side, do you have family structures, your culture, and procreate, in any similar fashion to bring about a new being for you?
Yes, similar, but we have genders. The female ones tend to be shorter, and I know it seems stereotypical, but more purplish, pinkish, and I'm more green colored. It's not stereotypical because normally you'd have blue for male and pink for female, but we do have genders. We do have children like you would, but this may get a little graphic, but I will describe this where the two actually do merge together and then come apart, and that's how the genetic material is passed. And then, of course, the female has the baby in this instance, like your people. But with that environment, we do have family units similar to your own. We would go out into a boggish looking area and actually give birth in that particular environment. And we don't give birth to just one. It's usually dozens.
Oh.
So it's more of these plasmoid. You would swear one of us is erupting sperm. So that tends to, ironically, it's going the other way around in appearance. So this, I told you it was graphic, but yeah, we give birth to a tribe when it takes place. It's very similar to like in your Futurama where you had your lizard-looking individual, and they would touch to transmit genetic material, and they would give birth to a whole group of them, or like a frog with tadpoles, things of that nature, creatures of that nature that you also have on your planet that are very similar. Your will-o'-the-wisp beings, minus their crotchety nature, tend to do something very similar, where their anatomy allows for a bunch of little you would think of them as fairy lights coming off them, but they're not even close to being this. It's this plasmoid gaseous type form. We're not related to them. They're native earthers. They actually evolved in the eras of the Titans back in the time, millions and millions of years ago. They could be considered a Titan-esque form, but if you ask them, they would just see themselves as more of an elemental form. I guess Titans fall into that category too, but think of them as just, no, Isaac, they are not a Titan fart, thank you. But, well, I suppose, because they have the gas, yeah, I get it. But he knows they can hear and he's making fun. But anyway, they tend not to want to talk too much. They are also the ones in your Arthurian legends that would be more of the Lady of the Lake type of scenario. They called themselves more of the Duod type form, but that's not their actual name. Neither is Will o' the Wisp. They gave an abbreviation of a name that it's hard for humans to pronounce. So just like I'm using the name Stephen, that's not my actual name. None of you could pronounce it at all. Not even close. It's more of a sound pitch that is not even close to what your brain can comprehend. No offense to this, you're just not in the frequency subset to do it, or sets to do it. Hope this answered.
Yeah, but and then when you birth a tribe, how long does it take those little ones to now grow up to be considered an adult in your society?
You take 9 months to give birth, and you take 18 years to become to an adult. That would be, what's the phrase I'm trying to come up with, would be more of a gun in mouth moment for us if we had to wait 18 years for this. With all of our little ones, this would be, think of your grandson, kind of. The age he's at, which is 3, that they take a roughly that long to reach adulthood. So, and in between that time, they are very much like how he acts, very similar. And with dozens of them, no, this is not something that 2 people can do by themselves. You have the phrase, "It takes a village." So yes, it takes a village to help raise that many children. Then that tribe ends up forming its own community after a while, and then those go to other cities and communities, and then interact, and of course, find mates and marriages, what you would call marriages, things of that nature.
So it's not like Earth. You're not birthing every day then.
No. No. Our planet would get overrun if we did that. Ours is kind of like how Vulcans are like in Star Trek, where it's like once every 7 years or cycle or something like that. It's kind of like their Ponvar type of thing they have in Star Trek. Even though they can do that whenever they want, they're like humans. Us, it's literally like landlocked, you would say, into a particular cycle. It's like how you had your Dr. Zoidberg in your Futurama, and Isaac keeps using this reference because it happens to be true, where you saw his people mate every now and again, and some of them would die to give birth to a bunch of them. It's not quite that dramatic, and nor do we fight to the death like Vulcans or the Zoidberg people in that. We do not do this. That is barbaric, but at the same time, we actually have those cycles. You would see it in your planetary cycle of roughly about every 7 to 8 years. For us, it's actually much shorter. Our planet moves around our star fairly quickly. It's a shorter period. Our star is you would call it a brown dwarf. It's not very bright on our world. Again, the Nordic type people tend to call it dreary, boring, and dismal. Like a dismal swamp type of setting, and they do not like being posted on our planet. And I can't say as I blame them if they are used to bright colors and mountains and hills and forest trees and seas and oceans and desert. So most of their planets are like yours. Hope that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot today.
Yeah, just one more question, because I am curious, because again, we started this with acknowledgement that there is a Galactic Federation. You mentioned that you were here, I'm thinking, on behest of all that. So my curiosity is, how long has your society been I'm assuming you're a member world of the Galactic Federation from how you're talking.
Yes.
And how long? And then what is it that actually your particular group is doing for the Galactic Federation?
Mostly medical, but we have done other sciences like creation sciences and Earth, or you would call it Earth sciences, but it's more galactic sciences. And we have been a member world. What is how the year scale works with you guys? Okay. You would see us as having been a member world for at least 10 million years, something like that, because the Galactic Federation's been around for 145 million in some form or other. Not currently in the way you know it to be. It's been around in some form, I should specify. And we have been around for that long, roughly, yeah, about 10-ish million in whatever form it happened to take. Its current form is slightly different than the way it started, but it had some resemblance or idea to the way it functions now. Uh, this may differ from what other people are saying, but I'm counting all its previous incarnation form types. But from the current version of it, or type of ideal or idea, I'd have to say we were a member of that version roughly 30, 40 years. So, but in retrospect of the totality of the idea type, we're roughly 10 million. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Audrey, you have any other questions?
Oh, I guess, do you guys have any like sports like we do? Like, do you guys have like entertainment or sports like we do?
Hmm. Yeah, we do not necessarily to the elaborate nature that your races do. We have music. We do have something you could resemble as a sporting event, though some of the Nordic races out there would comment and say that this is dull as well, because it's essentially a kind of a light show where we lights in like kind of like rings or something like this. How can I describe? The closest description that I could equate to one of our sports is like basketball or lacrosse, but it is more with lights and light shows and everything. It would look almost like a small little like laser pointer display if you guys were seeing it from your perspectives. They find it boring, but you guys would see it as more like laser tag in a way, and mixed with basketball or lacrosse, or even a rugby-ish type of setting, but more of in a light version or gas version type of that. And it's not as, say, violent type as some of your races and some of the Nordic races out there are known to do. They have kind of like a soccer version out there and a kind of like a basketball lacrosse mixture out there already. That's why I brought this up. It's think of a mixture of basketball and lacrosse where they just use a little net to throw them at another net. They think our sport is boring. We're watching them throw a ball into a net somewhere. But I know they're listening, so we just throw it back at them. And we've gone to their events before, and we sit there with the equivalent of one of you looking at your watch like this. But they do that to us too. So, that is really the only sport we have. The would be the equivalent to kind of throwing a ball in the net, but it's more with light and gaseous forms because that's what we have around. You guys have everywhere from rubber from trees to make balls to rocks to stone to water to string you can make nets out of, cloth, all of these things. You have a plethora of resources. We have basically gas. It's like the same thing. Like if you guys were in a mud pit for like 1,000 years, you guys would try to come up with different ways of using the mud to make pottery or make a ceramic ball to play with sports or like dolls or things of that nature. We have gas and plasmamoid forms. So this is what we have to work with. This is why we're called boring.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. I'm just going to let you say any last words that you want to talk about yourself or your culture.
Yes, if humans, whenever humans get to see us as we are, just know that I know you have all been told the horror stories, and yes, there are a plethora of things going on that your own governments have propagandized, but there's also some negative aliens that have also shared in the propagandization. And yes, there are negative oppressive forces out there. I have I'm not doubting this at all. I have no doubt this is actually true, and because I have seen these things with my own well, I guess I don't have eyes, but you get the idea. It's more of like a light beam gaseous type of thing. He's comparing me to the new, Isaac's comparing me to the new Robbie the robot that had that one hole in the center of his face, or that alien that was in your Quantumania movie that had that one thing as a head, with the light beam in the center. So it's like that. Just know that these hateful groups out there are getting you to see one facet of what's out there, the negative facets. And yes, you need to talk about these things because these are true history, like your Orion Codex, for instance, and all of these other things that you've talked about. But there are good things out there too. There are good timelines out there. There are good universes out there, good dimensions out there, and good species out there, both corporeal and not. And then just know that you will see the totality of this. Do not just focus on the one aspect that you are being spoon fed. Yes, there are true aspects to what is being said. Very true. It's also been propagated by your secret space program and programs, I should say. A lot of the negative things, like from the time travel programs and all of these things that you've seen, a lot of the negative things. But the reason that's not always being contested is because some people out there want you to just show that half of the yin yang. There are good things out there. Just know there is good out there that wishes your highest good at heart. Just know this. I'm not trying to bloviate, you would say, but or audition for a part, or however you would say it. But there are good things that are out there right now that do want to join you there on the earth. But you also have two things in play: legislation out here mixed with some races do not agree with making open contact with the Earth, and you have a bunch of nuclear warheads pointed outward from the Earth. There, you get a bit of a conundrum there. Not saying all humans are violent. I'm not going that route. I'm just saying some of them with the tech are. So I will leave it there. Do you have any further comments, questions for myself?
No, I just really appreciate you coming in and talking.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through and talking and sharing this knowledge. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And for anybody listening, I know there's creepy stuff out there, creepy thoughts, creepy things like this happening all over with V2K and creepy entities and such. Just know it will not be like that forever. Just know this. So I thank you. Yeah, he's the very one I ran into. I normally don't run into too many outside the Nordic races too much anymore, but yeah, he was interesting. He felt like you could definitely feel like the gaseous fluid, like you're almost like breathing him in and out. He was kind of a greenish color, kind of like not like glow green, but it was more like this palish green. And if you passed light through him, he would kind of glow, kind of like putting a light under a crystal or something. So that's why he said the sunlight would pass through him. But so that was kind of like an ectoplasmic like balloon, kind of. But yeah, Isaac said party favor. Okay, yeah, he obviously knows of who these guys are. So yeah, I thought that was really really interesting. Did any of you have anything to add to this?
Oh, no, I think it's, again, an interesting dynamic because, as we wade through, some of the trauma that we've been going through and been figuring out about some of the oppression and stuff that has been happening to us, it is good to point out that there is good out there. And again, as we co-create, what do we want our future to be? Do we want our future to be, to be out there, to meet and greet, to have these pleasant experiences? What do we want to happen? And sometimes that's what we just need to focus on, how we want it to be. And so, it's good. And it's good. Again, I really appreciate you being here because, again, I just like to promote people that can have these conversations and just have these discussions more in just a neutral way. Here it is, make of it what you want and, make your own judgments, your own experiences. But I just want to expand and let everybody know all of this is out there. So we really appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about it today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on and sharing my knowledge. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Mm. Yes, did you have anything you wanted to advertise or a link to send people to or anything like that?
I have my YouTube channel. I have my Substack account, which I'm hoping now that I have some more free time that I'll start using a little bit more as my website. And I'm also in the process of trying to write my book. So, that's also in the work in progress. I also have I guess I'm gonna say a work project, which is I'm creating what is known as our own type of human council in a sense of spirituality. We're supposed to have like our first broadcast meeting May 17. It's probably gonna be like pre-recorded, but then it's probably gonna be posted on different people's medias and stuff. And it's just for us as the Starseed community, metaphysical community, to just come together from different ears around the globe and different backgrounds to just like discuss something that's going on in our community and just talk about it and stuff. It's a work in progress, but it's in the beginning stages. I'm kind of surprised of how many people actually like volunteered already, but we're close to like having like 12 people already in the group. So we're having like our first meeting May 17 on a Saturday, I think it is. And it just be interested to see where we are. And it's just gonna be just a basic introduction of like um what our goals are, what we want to get out of it, and essentially just hopefully get more people from different, I guess you want to say, different areas around the globe. I was actually kind of surprised that we actually finally got someone from Africa to
Hmm.
join.
Oh,
Um, but we're also looking for people who are from Asia, more people from Africa, New Zealand, and Asia. North America is already filled, and I think almost Europe is almost filled, but we're looking for more people from Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and in order to make it like a complete
oh wow.
count and stuff, but it's still a work in progress. It'll be interesting to see what we're going to talk about for next month, and I just think it'd be kind of interesting and stuff, but still more in store. Now that I'm out of school, I have so many different stuff that I want to talk about and explore and have some good conversations with, but yeah, but thank you guys so much for having me on your show and sharing my knowledge and stuff like that. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it was great having you on. So I think we're at this point where we can close this out, everybody. It was great having her on today. So, and having a new race make an appearance here. So now at this point, I'm closing the circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody, for watching this show. Bye-bye now. All right, that was pretty cool, actually. That was cool. Uh, uh, yeah, I'll get this edited up as quick as I can do it, and I'll get it up. It'll probably be in the next. I'm gonna say next. Well, I suppose I could get it up there either next week or the week after. But yeah, I got a couple behind it at the moment, but yeah, I've had to shove a lot of stuff out real quick lately. So
Well, it's good talking to
uh,
you, and I wish
Yeah,
you great luck with everything.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, I have so much stuff that I want to talk about now that I have some more free from school and just planning them out and trying to get them out. Um, Starting figuring out whether or not I want to go on TikTok or not because I'm starting to notice like TikTok is completely different. You don't get that. It's mostly called brain rot where they don't actually like interact and stuff.
mhm.
But I'm starting to notice that I'm starting to find people from our community, and I was like, hey, maybe we can start a show on TikTok. And so I have to talk with a couple of people that I know to see if they can like we can start like a little show on TikTok to get more insight and stuff. But yeah, it's new. I'm kind of excited because I'm almost like finished with my book by how much energy and effort. Like I spent close to like 16, 18 hours this week,
Hmm.
last week, writing my book and editing it, and I was kind of sh surprised of like how far I already got. My goal was to get like 300 pages, but just by how much information and sharing,
Mhm.
it's probably gonna be a little bit more than.
I'm thinking probably 425 or something like that. But by the time you're done with it, you're never really done with those. It's more of like you have to force it to be finalized at some point, so you have like a volume. So, because then
Yeah,
other races can come along and then add to
Mhm.
subsequent
yeah,
volumes after that. Mm.
yeah. Yeah, it's just in the beginning processes. I still have to figure out I think Amazon KPD is where you can like publish it on Amazon and people can buy it and stuff. So I'm trying to like figure that out. And then there's also the promotion stuff that I have to figure out, but it's like one step at a time. And at
That's
least
right.
want to get like
Yeah,
I
you're
just want to at
doing
least
it.
get it like finished and stuff. So um yeah, I'm still mapping it out. It's really interesting. I like how it's coming along. This is probably going to be like the first volume, and then as time goes on, it's probably going to be like a second or third different volume with more information that comes through, and I fix information that comes through. But I'm just happy of how much I actually got, how much information I actually got on it. So it's just interesting. I'm just fixing a little bit things up, but yeah, I can't wait until it gets published officially. And then there's like the designing and trying to come up with a proper name for it for the book title and stuff. But everything is like in a work in progress.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're revamping our couple of our brands to we're finding down what's actually going to be on those too. So like our subscription website and our normal sites, like what's actually going to be shown at the conference, what we're going to talk about, and
Yeah,
all that.
I was actually was gonna ask because I know that a lot of people like have a website and stuff, and I really don't. I guess I'm gonna say have a website, and that's the reason why I have Substack because I try to make a website, and I was like, I'm not a website type of person. I'm more like a blog post person, and but
Wix is
yeah,
a good site to work with if you just want something simple. You have to figure out how where their widgets and stuff are to be able to put stuff on. With their text blocks and stuff like that. Once you get the hang of it, it's fine. And then what you do if you want a domain name, like if you want starnetlink.com or something like that, you have to get the domain name through like GoDaddy, and then you have the subscription through Wix, and then you just put the two together. It does cost a little bit, but it's actually worth it to have a central point where everybody can kind of go through a hub. And that's why we have the lifting.net, because it's a one-stop shop. People can find everything through the lifting.net. So it took me a while to accumulate, to kind of corral in all the stuff that we had and put it through there and amalgamate it on there. But it works better when you have a one-stop shop like that.
It does.
yeah, yeah. Now that I have some free time, I'm trying to revamp everything on my YouTube channel, my Substack account, be a little bit more active, start a subscription. I don't post a whole lot on my Patreon account as I thought I did, because I think that's just going to be moved over to Substack because there's a lot more traffic on Substack that people can find
Mhm.
and stuff, and it's a lot more easier for me to use than Patreon and stuff, and I can build my own little subscription for people and have it all in one
Yeah, we
place.
used to use Patreon, but there wasn't a lot of traffic going through there, so we used to have that, and we ended up getting canceled from there because they didn't like anything we said on Vimeo and Patreon. So, back in
Back in the days when they really were canceling people, we did get canceled.
we got
so.
nailed. So it's like we got nailed. So, yeah, like Rob recently, Rob Khalil, he got nailed big time on his.
Oh yeah, like he was close to like 20K,
Oh
25K,
wow.
and
Oh
and I was like, yeah, this is, and it's like, well, that's a good sign that to say, hey, we're on a positive path, but it's also like this shows that YouTube is deliberately doing this.
yeah,
Yes.
I have a Rumble backup for that reason. So if something would happen, I just send people over to the Rumble
No,
account.
but
Yeah.
we were devastated years ago when it happened to us. And we
Oh.
literally, after asking them why, they literally said there is not one thing you talk about that we like. That's literally what they said.
Yeah.
Not one
What
thing.
what did you guys talk about?
It was like, but we ranged it from
What we
what?
talk about now, I mean, what we
Yeah.
talk about now, we talk about, how to help people, how to protect themselves. We've talked about everything. We never really bashed people or anything. We weren't really trying to do that. We were just trying to give people what we thought were the basics of energetics, how to keep yourself clean, how to do things. We would talk about what was out there. We would talk about different things. And I
Yeah, they didn't want
mean,
anything
they
of it.
nailed us. They said not one thing,
Yeah.
which just again, kind of like Robert, squash them quick kind of thing. Don't even let this stuff
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah, and so yeah, I was because I decided to start working with Arkeem, and I was probably gonna like tell him like, hey, I don't think you're getting enough traffic. I think you will get more traffic about stuff on Substack. But yeah, I actually have to get situated and get ready to go to work.
Oh
So
yeah,
Okay. Don't
yeah.
fall
so
asleep this time, though. Yeah, don't fall asleep this time.
yeah, so yeah, yeah, so yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You take care.
Yeah, you take care.
Yeah.
Good
Okay,
night.
bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.